KILR Taylor Dane.
Hello gamers, simmers, and pilots, and welcome to the World Tour featuring Microsoft Flight Simulator 3. And we got a little bit of a VFR and an IFR flight going on today, so let's talk about that. So we are here in Madison at Dane County Regional Trial Field. We're going to be going here to Oshkosh. I just think that's a neat name, to Wittman Field. Now, we're not going directly there. There's this huge unexplored area right here. There's like no VORs or anything there. And this is what we did on Flight Simulator 2 for SubLogic and also the Amiga. And we will do this on the later simulators sometime in 20 years when they finally get back to this area. Hopefully not that long. I'm not getting younger. So we're going to be flying to Dells. And then once we get to this area, so we can see these lakes, this might be interesting. I never even thought about going over here to see all these different lakes. Maybe we should do that. Of course, we're getting close to La Crosse, but I wonder if we'll see all these lakes. We should check it out and see. I don't even know why I didn't think about it, but we'll head back this way to Oshkosh, right down here, and go north and land at Wittman Field. So as far as getting to the lakes, well, if we take a look, the 3300 radial from Dells will pretty much take us in that area. I was only thinking of going here because Lando Lakes, which looks really cool in the later simulators, we can't go to in this one. The scenery disc was not made. So maybe this will just be kind of like a little bit of a treat with that. And although we didn't see it on the Commodore, we didn't go there on the Commodore 64 or the Amiga, the scenery is going to be relatively the same, if not exact, because it's all based off of the SubLogic scenery disc. So we will still get to see kind of what it looks like with these graphics. And in fact, they may look a little better because the graphics are a little bit more impressive with Flight Simulator 3 than Flight Simulator 2, because you have to put it into composite, basically television mode, in order to get color. Otherwise, it really doesn't look appealing. All right, so Dells 115.1, we'll go ahead and set that right here. Nav 2, there goes, 31 miles. And Oshkosh is 111.8. Now, it does have a ILS, and we will make use of that. Okay, and we want the 330 radial. So, we've talked about this before. Instead of going click, 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 because you can't click and hold, we'll go to the nav.com, nav/com radio, click on nav radio, and now we can use the heading indicator here, and you can hold down the key and it is a lot faster, as you can see here. And 330, there we go. We're all set to go. So we'll go ahead, and And hopefully we'll have enough fuel. There's supposed to be a fuel box here, but we didn't see it on the other SubLogic simulators, and, well, not going to be here either. So we'll go ahead and turn this around, and we will take off from the same runway that we landed on, runway 36. And we're in a new season. I don't mean a television season, I mean actual season. We've gone from winter to spring, so our time is still close to what it was, but now it's daytime again. Because, hey, we want to be able to see this stuff we're going to be flying to and flying by, and we're not going to be able to do that if it's all dark. Not going to see anything. That's not going to be fun. Our way down the runway. Kind of thinking we'd be going faster than what this seems to be moving, but okay, that looks like the end of it there. Spin this around here. And I think we're good to go. We'll have ourselves a bit of a visual feast on this one. And up we go. See, I don't see any fuel boxes. Okay, with the G key, that'll bring the landing gear up. Go ahead and start making our turn here. I'm going to go ahead and set our autopilot to Oh, 4,000. Yeah, that should work. Taking a good look at Madison. Time to bring our throttle down here. There is a fuel box over at Wittman Field, so we'll be able to refill there. Turn our autopilot on. I think we should be good. So we got a river coming up here. That should be the Wisconsin River, and there's going to be a little lake up here. Let's take a look at this road system, and we'll see what that is on an actual satellite map. So here we go. Here's Madison. So the roadway is Interstate 90. Although we saw two of them. We saw two roadways or something. So there's Lake Wisconsin and the Wisconsin River. Merrimack is right over here. Now, as we go further north, these are the two lakes that we're going to see. We're going to see the Castle Rock Lake and the Petenwell Lake. So we're going to see those two. And remember all those tiny little lakes? Well, it looks like they're all right here. All these little lakes are right here, it looks like. The Ho Chunk Nation off Reservation Trust Land. Lake 7-822. So we'll take a look at that and see how they look. See the lake getting a little bigger here. So instead of a line, we're seeing a little bit more thicker blue. So that's Lake Wisconsin. Just about on our 330 radial. one of these days we'll see this on FSX and Prepared and Flight Simulator 2020. I got a feeling that Flight Simulator 2020 is probably going to go for a while. I mean, they've created a really impressive platform to build on. I mean, heck, look how long FSX has been lasting. Of course, it was the last simulator that Microsoft put out, but still, it's enjoyed a really long life, and I think Flight Simulator 2020 can enjoy that same type of life. Yeah, so we can see some more of the lake here. Curves around. Now, I remember watching some videos in regards to the developers, like notes and stuff, and they're saying they don't have ATC worked out yet. That they were going to leave that up to third-party developers. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, they've gone through so much lengths to make this simulator look amazing and fly amazing, but they're not going to do the ATC. That's a big important part. I mean, the ATC wasn't awful on FSX or Prepared. Well, we'll just say FSX. Wasn't the greatest either, but at least it was cool enough to where, you know, when you file your flight plan, it'll say, oh, you're going to fly to this airport. Now, you know, not give you the ICAO code. You know, it's like, oh, you're going to go to Oshkosh or Duluth or, you know, whatever the case is. And the third-party ones, you know, they're not like that. And I think it's a nice little touch when you can, you know, hear ATC say, hey, yeah, you're clear to such and such. I think it's kind of cool. I didn't like the fact that it was sitting there, you know, fly heading 330, fly heading 320, fly heading 330, you know, just kept moving you back and forth. That's kind of annoying. Madison is way back in the distance there. And that river, it kind of breaks up, but it heads off into the direction of Wittman Field. Start to see some of the river up here curving. I can't remember if we had this line in the Commodore 64 version or not. I imagine we did, but those tiny little lakes is like pretty close to the edge of the scenery disc number 9 map. Because after that, we don't have anything. There is no scenery disc 8 or 10. Just one of the many improvements that Flight Simulator 4 has over 3 is the weather generation, and when you turn that on, it'll put actual clouds as opposed to the cloud balls. It has that too, but it at least puts something out in the sky. They're discs. You got cloud discs and you have cloud balls. The cloud discs at least break up the monotony of the sky. And the cloud balls, well, that gives you something three-dimensional to fly through, since, well, that's the closest thing they could do to clouds. Looks more like snow. But, you know, hey, I mean, before that we didn't have anything at all, so... Too bad they couldn't depict rain. Even if it was just simple, you know? We didn't see rain until Flight Simulator 2000, right? I don't think we saw it in Flight Simulator 98. Oh, look at this river just zigzagging its way north. I don't remember it zigzagging that much. Need to trim my beard a little bit. It's getting a little too thick. I don't want a bushy beard. Just a nicely trimmed version would be good. I am looking at the USA East map. Flip that over there and I can take a look at Wisconsin. Sparta Fort. Central Wisconsin Airport. Okay, there's Wittman Regional. I don't see the tiny little, wait a minute. Okay, there's the two lakes. Okay, so I see Dane County. That's where we left. I don't see the tiny little lakes on this one. Interesting. Okay, looks like we passed the Vor. Okay, so we can start seeing the first lake right here. It's beginning to take shape. Could be an interesting flight if we run out of fuel. There's no airports in between where we're going and Wittman Field. See, it looks to me that this road is going to take us out to where those little lakes are at. Bit of spot plane here. So the Wisconsin River is heading into Castle Rock Lake. And I was looking at the map. This is Interstate 90, and it is heading over into that lake area. It heads up to Toma, and it goes to the west of those lakes. So we should see those lakes on this side of Interstate 90. See, there we go. Everything's beginning to form up there. Castle Rock Lake here, and the Petenwell Lake over here. Now, SubLogic Flight Simulator 2, Commodore 64, and Amiga, we kind of went just kind of close up to here, and then we started turning east. The lakes are not too far north of here. Fuel's getting lower and lower. Looks like we're going to be on the edge of our seat here. Go ahead and tune in. I think Lacrosse 108.4. We don't need this anymore. That's 58 miles to Lacrosse. And I'm going to set this to 080. We're almost equal in distance between Lacrosse and Oshkosh. So here we go. There's the lake. It curves off a little bit. Go ahead and pull this up here. So as you can see, here's Castle Rock, and it curves off into this area. A little bit of a thin lake, and then it opens up to Petenwell Lake. So you can see that right there. Change our course just slightly here. Gonna do some spot plane adjustments here. We'll move it right about there. 62 miles. And the number's going up. Not quite what we're wanting. We want it to go down. At least we're getting a good look at these lakes. We didn't quite go this far on the Commodore machines. Should be seeing those lakes here soon. I'll be disappointed if we don't see anything. Seeing anything yet. I don't think we're going to see anything until we pass over this 80 radial, which actually is not the right radial that we want. Something like 8.6. I'm not sure if we're going to make it with the fuel. We may have to pretend that we have reserve tanks or something. Ooh, we're at 666. That's not good. Come on, Lakes, where are you at? Maybe there is nothing over here. We got the road. Come on. No little lakes? Nothing? I don't think they have them. Let's wait until we pass this blue part of the lake and see if there's anything. No, actually, we should be able to see something by now. I'm looking at the map. So, right here, remember, we're on that 330 radio. I think we just turned a little bit over this way. But here's that big part of the lake. We should be somewhere around here. We should be seeing, if they were here, we should be seeing it. And yeah, there's nothing. That's a bummer. Alright. Yeah. Not seeing anything over to the side. Oh, there is another road. There's another road that popped up. Is there hope? Nah, it's not there. Alright, let's make our way to Oshkosh. Get our butts over there before we run out of fuel. Should get us in the right direction. $69 miles. All right. So while we're sitting here on the edge of our seats, wondering if we'll make it to the airport, we'll get back to our Microsoft Flight Simulator 3.0 handbook. Fuel. Be sure to load up and fuel before you take off. Secondary aircraft controls. The primary flight controls are the only controls needed to fly the plane. The secondary controls are used to navigate and to control the engine and the simulator itself. Their positions on the panel and their functions are described in Chapter 1, Basic Window Display and Flight Instruments. A description how to use these follows. If this is your first flight, you may want to return to this section later. Flaps. Flaps are movable panels on the inboard trailing edges of the wings. They are hinged so they can extend downward into the flow of the air beneath the wings to increase lift, upward force, and drag, rearward pull. Their primary purpose is to permit a slower airspeed and steeper angle of descent during a landing approach. They can also be used to shorten takeoff distance or decrease stall speed on a landing approach. You can adjust the flaps with the keys or the mouse. You've got your top function keys, F5, F6, F7, F8, which is up 15, 30, 40 degrees. Now, interesting enough, if you have the function keys on the left of the keyboard, then F1 is up, F3 is 10, F5 is 20, F7 is 30, and F9 is 40. So that one, you've got you've got the 20-degree one, whereas the ones across the top you don't. You can also just click on your flaps here. I always wondered why there wasn't a key for the 20-degree one, and now I know why. Extending and retracting the flaps affect the plane's performance considerably. Extending the flaps increases both lift and drag. This increases glide angle, which is particularly useful if you are flying too high on an approach and want to increase your rate of descent. We've done that on some approaches. And now we've got your elevator trim, and your elevator trim is right here. The control yoke is directly connected to the airfoils it controls. Different flight attitudes put different pressures on the airfoils. These variations also change the pressure on the yoke. The pilot must counteract these forces to keep the airfoils in their proper positions. Applying steady pressure on the yoke for hours would be fatiguing. Trim is used to counteract these forces and relieve the pilot of applying constant pressure on the yoke. I like to think of it as a cruise control, is what I like to think of it as. In Flight Simulator, elevator trim is controlled with the 7 and 1 keys on the numerical keypad, and it continues that way throughout the Flight Simulator. Pressing the 7 key adjusts the trim downward, just like pressing the 8 key makes you go down, and the 1 key adjusts the trim upward, just like the 2 key will bring the nose up. The elevator trim position indicator shows elevator trim position. Well, duh. Remember these keys as the upper left and lower left keys of this control yoke. So here is the position. So you can see it's trimmed about here, although the elevator is way down here, but that's the autopilot doing that stuff. We're almost at our 086. Okay, let's read on carburetor heat. Carburetor heat is used to preclude icing or to clear ice that has already formed in the carburetor. It's not because it's cold and you need to warm up or warm the engine up. Apply carburetor heat for a few seconds on landing approach to avoid ice-caused engine failure, which I don't think happens in this anyway. The H key is the carburetor heat toggle switch. The carburetor heat indicator on the control panel shows whether the carburetor heat is on or off. See, so off, on. Carburetor heat can be toggled on and off by clicking the panel like we just did. Alright, let's go ahead and turn to our heading of 086. Looks like we're going to be seeing a whole lot of green here for a bit. At those two lakes. We're heading out to nowhere. Alright. Magneto switch and mixture full lean control. The M key is the magneto switch. After you press the M key, type one of the following numbers in the top row of the keys of the main keyboard to indicate magneto settings. So M1 is off, and M2 is left, M3 is R or right, and for both, M5 is start the engine, and then it goes to both, and M0 is lean, full lean, and then turns the engine off. The M12 below the magneto indicator, which you can see right here, acts as a reference to the M key followed by numbers 0 through 5. Well, why have 1, 2? Why not have 1, 5 or something? The lights key, or L, right here in the corner, turns on the running and instrument lights and the red rotating beacon. Well, we don't see that on this simulator. Running lights are lights on the tip of each wing, red on the pilot's left, green on the pilot's right, that help others identify your heading. Instrument panel lights eliminate individual so what's good about the left and the green and the right, red, it knows if people would know if the plane is coming towards you or going away from you. So you think red right? No, I'm sorry, red on the left and green on the right. Or if, yeah, don't make it any more complicated than that. Trying to think of an easy way to remember that. Instrument panel lights illuminate individual instruments on the instrument panel so that you can see them at night. We saw this a little bit on the last flight because we were flying in winter and it got darker earlier. You must turn on the running and instrument panel lights for night flight. It is not advisable to fly with your lights on during the day. When night arrives, you may find that a bulb on an important instrument has burned out. Bulbs are replaced during refueling and service stops. The L next to the lights indicator acts as a reference to the L key. Strobe. The O key, right here, turns the aircraft's white flashing strobe on and off. The indicator on the instrument panel shows the current status. Now we saw that flashing white light a couple of flights ago. I think it might have been the last flight too, but as you get closer to the clouds, it starts flashing white on the screen because it's reflecting off of the clouds. It's important to simulate a strobe light because of the effect it can have on a pilot in the clouds at night. Big white flashes of light are diffused into the cockpit by the clouds, disorienting the pilot. If you fly through clouds at night, turn off the strobe light. The O next to the strobe indicator acts as a reference to the O key. Landing gear. The landing gear key, or G, raises and lowers the landing gear. We see that every single flight. The gear indicator on the panel shows the current status of the landing gear, so it's up. It even says up. You do not have to raise the landing gear when flying. And we didn't when we were flying from Iowa City to Cedar City. Or is it Cedar Rapids? think it was Cedar City.
I can't remember.
If you do raise it, however, be sure to lower it on landing approach. That's always a good thing. Flying with the landing gear down increases drag and slows you down. The G next to the gear indicator acts as a reference to the G key. And the next section we have is radio operation. Now we'll be seeing a couple of airports as we get closer. So we're heading, whoops, we're probably around here somewhere. We will see two airports, and I believe that's the Oshkosh Lake. I don't know, I'll look that up. But we'll see Fond du Lac right there, and Wittman Field would be a little bigger. Sorry, not Oshkosh Lake, Lake Winnebago. I think we'll also see Appleton. Appleton, because I remember seeing that on the Commodore 64. So here's a satellite map. So here's Lake Winnebago. And here is Oshkosh. Fond du Lac, there will be an airport over here. I don't know if we'll see a representation of the city, though, but we should see Appleton, because I do remember seeing that. Getting some bare glimpses of scenery behind us. Now, we flew next to the Oshkosh Lake in one of my Flight Simulator 10 videos. It was the one heading to Rattlesnake Airport. Let's see if I can pull that up here on my channel, and that gives you a chance to kind of take a look at it. Yeah, it's Ford Airport, Wisconsin to Rattlesnake Island, Ohio. And I used MegaSceneryEarth with it. Okay, let's go ahead and go and display video. This is on my channel. So it's FSX Gold, Ford Airport, Wisconsin to Rattlesnake Island, Ohio. And I also have it set up to where we have I'm looking for a new headset. Which one? Oh, did I respond to that? Oh, I think I did. Okay, so I have these separated into chapters. That way you can just kind of, go where you want to go. So let's click on Lake Winnebago. And there we can see it there.
Pioneer 8431, contact Minneapolis Center 127.65 morning.
So yeah, I've got I used real ATC, live ATC.
Tango. Turn left heading 220, resume on navigation. Turn left heading 220, resume on navigation. Bonanza, Kilo Alpha Tango.
And this is a Bonanza V35. Get an outside look there. See, there you go. It's using MegaSceneryEarth. I did that just to give it a little bit of realism. Kind of move forward a little bit, but yeah, so here it all is. And we're beginning to get a glimpse of some stuff here in front of us. So that looks like Lake Winnebago right over there. Looks just like the video we saw. And we got some lakes forming up over here. Go ahead and set nav2 to Oshkosh, and we'll get nav1 set up for the ILS, which is 110.5. No DME yet. Not close enough. Make sure I got the right frequency. Oshkosh, 2.5, yep. $30 to go. I think we'll land. I think we'll be able to get to the airport with no problem. And there is a fuel box there, that much I know. You know what? I'm going to give a shout out to one of my viewers here, Travis Beeman. Yeah, he's sending me some messages on some comments. Hey, Travis, I appreciate your comments on the videos. I really do. I love getting feedback, and I hope more of you out there will leave some comments on the videos. He was mentioning on there, it's like, hey, you can remap the keystrokes in DOSBox, and I'm just like, yeah, that would make things a little easier. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Yeah, the controls on the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2 are a little... It's like the rudder is over... It's like the period and the comma key, with the L key being like the center, and it's like weird, but I didn't even think about remapping those keys over, you know, on using DOSBox. You guys are smart. You guys are smart. That's why I want to get more comments from you guys. "25 miles to go." There we go. We can see Lake Winnebago. Makes me hungry for a bagel. Or makes me want to dream of driving a Winnebago motorhome to Oshkosh. I am getting messages. So how many people do you think would have enough patience to sit here and actually fly from one airport to another with these old simulators? Because this does, man. This takes patience, you know, because you don't have much to look at. Now, I suppose if you were like, you know, doing something off to the side, which is kind of like what I did when I had the when I was playing on the Commodore 64 and the Amiga. I would just fly and you know, set the autopilot and, you know, work on something. I don't know. It was 35 years ago. I don't remember. Maybe I was watching TV or something. I had it, you know, going, but you know, turn back, see where I'm at on the flights, keep an eye on my nav radios, and you know, that's how I was doing flights cross country on the C64. Not on the Amiga, because they didn't make scenery discs 1 through 6. Annoying. So the closest that we'll get to seeing the Amiga with scenery discs 1 through 6 is this right here, Flight Simulator 3. In a sense, Flight Simulator 4, because Flight Simulator 4 has got the sound and graphics upgrade, which gets rid of the sound. I think that's Lake Winnebago up ahead. Yeah, that's it up ahead there. Let's see, is nav 2? Do we have anything now? Not yet. We're heading directly for the airport. The airport's going to be right here. Alright, we're going to need to turn. Yeah, I can see where that lake is at. So if I'm going to pull up the flight simulator map again, we're right there, I believe. I don't know. We're not down here. We're like right about there. So we're close to the airport, so we need to come down this way, and then we can go north. Okay, good. We now have our DME working on nav number 1, which has got our ILS. And we see some gray, so that is Oshkosh. Appleton will be up in this area here. And I don't think it's depicted, but Fond du Lac would be right down over there. Oh, and Oshkosh has ATIS information too, if I remember correctly. One 25.8. Whoops, there it goes. Oshkosh Wittman Field. Hotel. Weather. Visibility 10. Temperature 53. Wind. Altimeter 29.95. They want us to land on runway 4, but we're not going to. We're taking the ILS. Like I say, there's not very many ILS runways, airports. So let's make use of them. If it's reasonable. If we're flying in a direction and the ILS runway is the opposite direction, well, I know you can do a back course, but and there's the airport. See it right there. As a matter of fact, there's Fond du Lac over there. Let's go ahead and get ourselves turned. Let's give ourselves plenty of room here so we can make that turn. Okay, so according to this, we're a little too high. We'll go ahead and turn our autopilot off. And our landing gear down, and one thing of flaps. Getting closer, getting closer. 7 miles. Start turning this way. I tell you, my ears tend to ring with that engine sound. Almost disorients you a little bit. Hey, it wasn't meant to be listened to through headphones, I don't think. Course adjustments here. And it looks like we're going to be able to land just fine. We got plenty of fuel. I think we're good. Turning a little bit at a time here. We're going to kind of slowly curve our way to meet runway 36. It's coming up there. At 5.4 miles, I think we can drop a second thing of flaps. 20 degrees there. Yeah, we're looking good here. Start making that turn. Four miles. There we go. My family's just a tad little loud. That's okay. We're all having a good time. That's what matters. Start doing a little bit of a turn here. I think the ILS is off on this one because we're not exactly centered up with the runway, but look where the needle's at. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be like that. Maybe. Nope. I don't think this has any outer, middle, or inner marker lights. I don't remember them being in the Commodore versions either. Looks like we got ourselves a pretty good glide slope going on here. We're relatively centered on that vertical. Glide slope indicator right there. I'm just adjusting our power to match. Using a rudder just for some fine-tuned adjustments here. Hey, and we got some taxiways. You see that? Oh, we do have a sound. Yay! We just weren't in the right spot for the outer marker. There we go. We are landed. Flaps are up. Now the fuel is straight ahead. Should be, if I remember correctly. There we go. We got some taxiways over there we can use. That works. Ah, I hate when it does that. You can see the fuel right up there. See, it's a little yellow mark. There's the taxiway right there. I don't think the Commodore 64 version had taxiways on this airport. I think they were just, yeah, I think they were just runways out in the, you know, spread out, like what you saw on the map. So this is nice. This is a little nicer. We don't have a box on this one. We just have the fuel square. Okay, keep an eye on those fuel gauges. Oh, tank is full. That is so satisfying. Especially after a flight like that, you know. We'll go over here and park. Yeah, right here. Park right here. This looks good. Okay, let's lean it. Let's see, it was M0. There, and it went lean, although it did a weird, funky little thing there. But yeah, we leaned it, so that's good. What was it, M1 turns it off? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I hate how it does that. Anyway, we're here at Oshkosh at the Wittman Field Airport. So a little bit long of a flight, and that was because we were flying out past the what was it? The Castle Rock Lake, and the oh man, the other lake. Because there's all these tiny little lakes, and they're on the SubLogic map, but they weren't in the scenery. At least we didn't see them there. So a little bit lengthy because we kind of took that slight detour. We didn't do that on the Commodore 64 or Amiga, so wanted to give it a try here. But yeah, and we had just enough fuel to get here, so that's cool. All right, well, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys checking this out and hanging with me. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and a like. Helps me out and helps other viewers out, so that way the algorithm spreads this video out amongst YouTube, so more people will be able to see it. And subscribe. Let's build up our community together. And the notification bell will let you know when the next video is uploaded to the channel. So other than that, thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the next leg of our journey.